Okay, last story. We're talking about also from Spectrum News. I found this a really interesting article. I actually sent it to Dr. Grampiche that in light of COVID, this is rethinking autism. I'm trying to see what the title of the article is: Rethinking Autism Assessments in the Time of COVID-19, a Q&A with Bishop and Zwaigenbaum. And I thought it was really interesting that one of the things that they identify here is in this article is that there is a terrible problem right now for people to get assessments, whether it's very young kids or adults. There's a terrible shortage of abilities to be able to get assessed, to get a diagnosis, which then leads to getting help and support and funding for it. But they're saying, a lot of this is caused by COVID-19, but that what COVID-19 pointed out clearly is that the system was already broken, and that COVID came along and said, let's show you how broken it is. And that the hopeful part of it for me is that they say that, what if we were to look at this as an opportunity to look at assessment from the bottom up and go, if this wasn't working before COVID and it's really not working during COVID, if it's broken and we have to fix it, maybe we should start over. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's twofold, right? Because we have kiddos that are being raised that their parents don't have access to healthcare, don't have stopgap people to say, here's, your child should get looked at, and here's where you should go, and that is targeting underserved populations. That if you are black or brown, you are less likely to get a diagnosis because you're less likely to be told where the supports are. And when you get there, the supports are less likely to be there. But then on top of that, if you can surmount that and get to a clinic, then what you're going to find is all the clinicians overwhelmingly are not going to be black and brown, and that we've already talked about. There's research to show that they're less likely to listen to the parents and hear what the parents are saying, so that the parents can get to the point where their child is accurately diagnosed. All of that breaks my heart. But this article talks about how we could do better,
Mhm.
how we can make this better. One of the things that they talk about is that, during the pandemic, when you couldn't be in person, it was that much harder, right? But it did force some advances in telehealth, some of which is good and some of which is not good. And I love the fact that they address the fact that it's not always the most effective. And ultimately, one of the recommendations of the article is that a hybrid system that takes into account the individual circumstances is what is best.
Yes,
Uh,
I'm wondering if there's any change in the diagnosis figure since COVID happened, whether there's been
oh,
less diagnoses.
yeah. I mean, I don't know that we know that for sure, but that's one of those things. Like Bill Maher says, I don't know this, but I do. I don't know this for sure, but yeah, I would say that diagnoses has gone down. We know that the amount of therapy that kids have been getting has reduced catastrophically.
Hmm.
Uh, you know, not because parents weren't looking for it, but because there is a ginormous shortage in workers. Horrible shortage in workers. If there's anybody who's out there who is looking for work as and would like to be a behavior technician, boy, now is the time. They need you desperately all over the world. I don't think there's a single ABA provider that isn't hiring right now, but they need good quality people. And it's not an easy job. It's not for everyone,
Yeah.
but it's a good job with possibilities of moving up and abilities to change the world. So
Yes.
We encourage people. Enrico has written back in and said, is it possible that the gap can be partially recovered by spreading concept of conscious welcome in society starting from school?
Wow.
I just love that, Enrico. One of the things that Nancy and I talked about before on the show is that, yeah, I mean, of course. And Sesame Street, when they introduced, why can't I, Julia, when they introduced Julia, someone said, what's great about this is that 20 years from now, 30 years from now, HR directors who are the hiring people are going to be sitting there and are going to be so much more understanding and welcoming of individuals on the spectrum. And when someone comes in to apply for a job and they don't make eye contact, because of Sesame Street, that HR director is not going to immediately have this thought in their head of, oh, well, this person couldn't make eye contact with me, so I'm not hiring them. That Julia single-handedly is doing a lot towards making that happen. But I think you're right. In schools and in society, we need to be teaching inclusion and acceptance, and the list is endless, right? It also, I believe, has to happen at home too. And I don't know about you, Nancy, but that's been the harder nut for me to crack, is that sometimes we've had play dates with people, even, I have people in my family who don't get it, who
Mm-hmm.
don't get it
Mm-hmm.
and aren't inclusive and aren't considerate and aren't welcoming of people who are different, not less, different. It's a hard thing. Thanks for watching Autism Live. If you found anything helpful in this video, please give us a like. In fact, make sure that you smash that subscribe button on YouTube and give us a like on Facebook. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram for important updates. And please download our free podcast wherever you get your podcasts. See you next time. Until then, give your kiddos a hug from me and one for you too. Bye-bye for now. To subscribe, click here. And if you'd like to check out some more of our videos, click here.